Despite hearing tales and seeing the jungle room, there is a portion of Graceland that you have never laid eyes on. Riley Keough's silence is no longer tolerated. Here you will find the truth behind the decades-long lock on Elvis's private upstairs room. No ghost stories here. What Riley just revealed about it will alter your perception of the king of rock and roll. Is it more than just a place of worship for you? Let's take a look at Graceland through Elvis's niece's eyes, the part that the public was never meant to see. Graceland has always seemed larger than life. It exudes an air of country cool, a touch of Elvis Presley, and a rock and roll fantasy vibe. In the jungle room, fans from around the world pose for selfies as tours go by, and the gift shop remains deserted. People, however, hold a particular room in the house in the highest regard. For more than 4 decades, nobody has dared to set foot on the second floor, and even fewer have mentioned or discussed it. Not even the most ardent Elvis admirers or interested celebrities have had the chance to see it. Unless your surname is Presley, you will not be admitted. It's the equivalent of the rock star private club. However, in your opinion, who has been upstairs? Riley Keough, the granddaughter of Elvis, is worth noting. For the first time, she has spoken about the truth, and it is both touching and unsettling. Just what was Elvis hiding? Why was that floor kept locked for such a long time? What did Riley discover about the king that causes everyone to doubt their previous assumptions? Fall back in order to obtain it. One must reminisce about a period when Graceland was not a site for concerts, diamond jumpsuits, or glorification of the legend. In 1939, the proprietor of a printing business erected a modest home in Memphis. The location was serene. It featured 10 rooms and a front porch that gave it a more southern charm vibe than that of a bachelor pad belonging to a rock star. For 1957, we'll go. Among the mayhem that teenagers wreak, 22-year-old Elvis finds himself smack dab in the center. Everyone is after him, and cameras can't help but follow. Absolutely no tranquility exists. What is his next move? He purchases Graceland for $12,500, the actual amount, not the rumored one. It had nothing to do with its size or ostentation. His sole desire was to be by himself. Guess what, though? He was not fortunate. The spot became his own personal paradise instead. Graceland evolved into a symbol of Elvis's eccentricity, singularity of thought, and downright strangeness over the years. Living there and furnishing it in a way that demonstrated his disapproval of beige were 2 separate things he did. Consider the jungle room. In contrast to the downstairs, which gained international fame, the upper floor remained unmoving, serving as a virtual time capsule. Riley has finally opened up about some of the hidden details. What she uncovered pertains to Elvis the man, not the myth, and is more than simply velvet drapes and vintage perfume bottles. On stage, he never revealed this reserved, troubled side of himself. Someone on the inside is finally giving us a little, after all these years. Instead of being in the home of a famous Southern rock and roll singer, you might as well be in a bar with a rainforest theme. It appeared as though this chamber belonged to a forest resort. It had an untamed, verdant, and dark quality to it. Guess what, though? Elvis recorded several of his final singles, including Moody Blue, there in his personal recording studio. The room exuded an air of mystique and drama, much like Elvis himself. There are only a few steps separating the house and the meditation spot. It's hidden like a precious relic. In 1964, when it was being planned, it was intended to be a serene and tranquil place, with stone walkways and a positive atmosphere. Eventually, though, it became more than that. Elvis's parents, grandmother, and daughter Lisa Marie will all be laid to rest there. In a single peaceful yard stood the whole royal family. From all over the globe, there are silent admirers who travel just to see this spot, and they don't even wear Elvis sunglasses. People silently arrive and depart, leaving behind things like letters, flowers, and modest gifts. You won't find the usual Elvis mania here. Instead, you'll find genuine emotion. Graceland has welcomed over 20 million visitors since its 1982 opening. People on a journey, not merely tourists. He did more than just sing songs. He changed the game. People from all over the world come through those doors to get closer to him. Graceland is the second most visited American house, after the White House. Gold records, diamond jumpsuits, and Cadillacs fill many of the rooms inside. Upstairs, though, is the one area that absolutely no one gets a glimpse of. It's as secure as the crown jewels, totally off limits. The date of Elvis's death, August 16, 1977, has passed without its relocation. Scholars and fans alike have been enamored with it for quite some time. What's that on top? Just why is it being guarded so closely? What kind of secrets does that staircase conceal? No one other than immediate family and friends has ever been able to open that door. It's not because of any supernatural forces at work. Rather, the Presley family holds that room in the house in the highest regard. Elvis slept there. He passed away there. There in that closet are those glittery jumpsuits, waiting for their final performance. It was as if time stood still on that floor. Elvis, however, remained motionless as all around him seemed to be shifting. Now Riley Keough enters the room. Graceland now belongs to her, and she is also the granddaughter of Elvis and Lisa Marie. Throughout her childhood, she was subjected to numerous tales, stories, and loads of pressure. Her ties to the area are deep, personal, and genuine. They are not merely based on familial ties. The most shocking development is that Riley has started to speak. Behind the curtain, things are visible to all. She isn't merely giving a tour. The upstairs had significant emotional value for them both, because that's where Elvis went when he wanted to escape his Elvis persona. He ducked into it. In his time alone, he did things like read, compose music, weep, dream, and maybe even devour 1 or 2 peanut butter banana sandwiches. It was empty. No one knew about it. It felt the most genuine, in contrast to the other, more shiny parts of the house. Not to hide anything, she says, but to hold on to everything, the feelings, the memories, and the man himself. The rooms have been locked. He appears to have remained ever since. She claims his perfume is still detectable. Nobody has touched the books on the nightstand by his bed. The order of the records remains unchanged from when he first left them. You climb those steps, huh? But you can't. To the untrained eye, it would appear as though he merely stepped outside for a brief moment. The upper floor of Graceland has been securely locked since Elvis's permanent departure on August 16, 1977. Someone from the museum wasn't trying to make it look mysterious by locking it. Truth check. This is real. The decision was taken by the family. No one goes up there, as his son Elvis Presley made clear. He didn't want anyone to see, but that floor wasn't meant to be part of the performance. It was so familiar. After all, Vern did say locked when he did. Nothing has been done on the entire top floor, not even dusting or making it look old. The exact time that the ambulance arrived is still displayed on the clock above Elvis's bed. In the midst of the photo-taking tourists milling about the lower level, Riley Keough, Elvis's granddaughter, was skulking about like no tour guide ever does. She and her cousins were caught red-handed for being up there, but that's just how kids are. As a general rule, one should look, but not touch. And for the most part, they followed its instructions. Their gasps for air made it seem like they were entering a sacred space as they cautiously made their way around, taking it all in. The bed and jewelry were the things Riley forgot about the most. The space was cramped and the lighting was bad. Here was Elvis's classroom. Cozy dark wood paneling adorns the walls, while bookshelves brim with volumes on numerology, Christian theology, Eastern philosophy, and spirituality. A spiritual buffet, if you will. But what about the genuine loot? Paper pads, a mountain of Elvis's handwritten notes awaits. A few of them resemble requests for help. The rest were a jumble of unorganized thoughts, lyrics that didn't make sense, and quotes that he must have scribbled down while he was thinking. The word free appeared repeatedly on a single page. You feel the blow square in the chest, don't you? After that, there were the things. We're discussing personal, intimate matters. Even now, his bed is covered in silk sheets. There is a worn-out Bible on one table with handwritten notes. That other one. No? Medication for the relief of pain. There are a few bottles that have enough liquid in them to last. Underneath the bed was a shoebox with the words, "Do not open," written on the bottom. Naturally, Riley opened it. Letters that had not been sent yet were contained within. A couple of them were addressed to Lisa Marie, while the third simply read, "To whoever finds this after I'm gone." The last one gave me the willies. She claims her opinion of him shifted after reading those letters. It wasn't enough for the King of Rock. He was actively seeking companionship. However, he never truly ceased. Yes, that is the restroom where Elvis passed away. Nothing has changed, Riley says politely, but she won't elaborate. Not moved a single towel. Like a ban, the area is sealed off, because of the horrific event and also because he felt safest in that room, as if attempting to escape the world that never really left him. He would sit there by himself and read, think, or do nothing at all. Additionally, there is an unknown location. Neither Graceland blogs nor the handouts contain it. The children refer to it as the peaceful area. Exiting the hall, a vintage sound machine hums softly, and there are little cozy lights scattered around the room. Pictures, tours, and fan sites are non-existent. Elvis would retreat here to pray, think, and disconnect. It might have served as his escape route from an ever-vigilant home. For what reason is Riley bringing this up at this moment? The upstairs had to maintain complete silence for a long time as a result of this. Her mother, Lisa Marie, was extremely possessive of that location. It was absolutely excruciating. This was no staged grief. It had an ethereal quality about it. Riley, however, found herself in possession of the keys, literal and otherwise, following Lisa Marie's death. Instead of using her fame for photo ops or financial gain, she should have been helping people see the real person behind the fame. She assumed the role of protector for Graceland and the Presley family's legacy. The upstairs door still won't open, in her mind. Absolutely not. Why? Because sometimes the most impactful stories don't even require sight. Just give them a chance to be heard. There are some places, she says, that should be kept private. Before we wrap this up, let's discuss the most brilliant Elvis idea ever. That Elvis who, according to some fans, pretended to die, then left Graceland via a secret passageway, went to an island, or even worked as a janitor in Kalamazoo. It seems ridiculous, doesn't it? Whispers persist, though, due to the floor's lock, the clock's frozen state, and the untouched towel. Reason being, the king could be the only prominent figure with the necessary power, intelligence, and fame to successfully vanish forever. Whether he is alive or dead, Elvis has never truly departed from the building. Crazy fan theories and tabloid hype aren't the only things keeping this story going. People can't help but pause and contemplate the peculiar little events that transpired during Elvis's final days. The man started to withdraw toward the end, as if he were preparing for a major event. Moreover, for decades, rumors have circulated that Graceland contains a hidden tunnel that he personally constructed for his own use in vanishing. From the main house to the back of the property, there may be a secret path, according to some former workers and visitors who have made bolder or more subtle claims over the years. Some even claim it emerges in the woods behind Graceland after passing beneath the meditation garden. Many believe it was his strategy to evade the paparazzi or his final exit strategy if he ever desired to end it all. Many who hold this view point to the 1970s as the turning point in Elvis's career. Supposedly, he reduced the number of public events he hosted, had the house checked for bugs, and spent most of his time on the second floor. He was dodging the spotlight and, by extension, everything. To many, it sounds less like burnout and more like a guy preparing to leave. Actually, the official plans for Graceland don't even mention a tunnel. But the second floor is there, even though those plans don't show it. It makes you question, what else are they hiding if they aren't showing that? There are former workers who deny the existence of the tunnel, while others have made nebulous claims like, "There are things even we didn't see." The Presley family has refrained from discussing a hidden passage in any of their interviews, media appearances, or books. However, devoted followers are still attempting to decipher the meaning behind it all. Upon breaking into the house in 1987, a reporter discovered a concrete door close to the rear carport, according to his account. Despite the lack of visual evidence, the story quickly gained traction online. It was next to impossible to extinguish once it got going. And then the sightings started. An individual resembling Elvis Presley was spotted at Memphis International Airport going by the name John Burroughs. In his touring career, Elvis pretended to go by this name. The local news carried the story, but authorities brushed it off as an accident. Despite this, numerous people claimed to have seen him alive and well following that one report. Graceland became famous in 1984 after a visitor snapped a photo of a man working behind the scenes. He appeared older and heavier than before. Wearing large shades, he resembled Elvis Presley from his younger years. Graceland has never been able to identify the man in the picture, no matter how big it is or how many angles it is examined from. Thus, is the tube an illusion? Does Elvis really no longer exist? Certainty is impossible to achieve. It sounds less probable that he couldn't negotiate his own exit from the stage the more you listen. If I'm being really honest, Elvis was the only one who could have escaped and lived a life of relative seclusion away from civilization. He was well-known, wealthy, and supposedly had a secret tunnel hidden on his expansive farm. Without a doubt, yes. So what gives him the right to fabricate a deathbed story? He had gotten into a rough patch by the late 1970s. Despite his health issues, he was heavily dependent on prescription drugs and enjoyed an indestructible level of fame. Being in a tranquil setting sounded like something out of a dream. Pretending to be dead is, when you really get down to it, pretty similar to ditching all of your social media and relocating to the woods. As a result, why is this concept being pursued? His final 3 months were remarkably silent, that much is certain. Nobody was interviewed or given a tour.
Graceland is still off limits to the public, but he spent most of his time upstairs. His granddaughter, Keough, makes no effort to interrupt the stories. She claims she is not in this to discuss Elvis. She has come to ensure the security of what was dear to him. Although Elvis Presley was well known, there are many who believe that his offstage activities were his greatest asset. No one had any idea how many children there were. Graceland and all of its possessions were given to Lisa Marie, the only known child of Elvis Presley upon his death in 1977. Keough, her daughter, succeeded her after her death in 2023. That transition, though, was anything but smooth. Lisa Presley's mother, Priscilla Presley, fought against a trust amendment that had been made a long time ago. This isn't your average family business. The settlement made it crystal clear that there are hundreds of millions of dollars at stake, and people are willing to fight for a share. The stories then fill in the gaps. Countless people have claimed paternity as Elvis's offspring. Some individuals bring images of themselves that are a little too close for comfort, as well as DNA tests and birth certificates. To get their fair share of an estate, some individuals resort to legal action. Not everyone was on board with the idea of unearthing Elvis to put him to the test. Just saying you have Elvis's chin isn't good enough. Evidence is required. The Presley residence is extremely secure. A clear chain of custody, very strong DNA, and evidence that can be utilized in court. Not to mention something you purchased on a fan site. The accusations, however, persist. Elvis may have had secret relationships with other women in the 50s and 60s, according to some. Some stories involve strangers calling, others involve secret letters, and yet others involve hush money. No one in the Presley family, including Lisa Marie and Riley, has confirmed any of it, though. Now Riley is the one in control. Freight is in charge of Graceland and all things related to Elvis. Her age is 34. On top of that, she can physically lock some doors while opening others. Access to Graceland's second floor is still restricted. There are no alternatives, no trips, and no cameras. Because that is personal family space, she refuses to budge. Why? Some things may be too sacred to be seen by just anyone. Once he became tired of being the spotlight, Elvis continued to record. His final lessons were held in the jungle room of Graceland in 1976. They spoke plainly and honestly. The release of Way Down, Moody Blue, and a few eerie choir covers occurred after his death, although not all of his music did. Just what is missing? Some songs were left unfinished or put on hold completely, according to audio engineers and session players, as Elvis's health deteriorated.
Subsequently, bootlegs, which are recordings of Elvis performed by other artists but feature alternate takes, started appearing seemingly out of nowhere. You can tell some are real and others are plainly not. It was said that a song named "This Is Goodbye" was recorded a few weeks prior to his death. It circulated in the 90s until an imposter's voice was identified. However, additional tapes continued to surface even after its falsity was exposed. The next thing to wonder is why these stories keep popping up. It's the silence as much as the bootlegs. To what extent do most artists' legacies extend? They dig out their old records, print them out again, and then throw them away. However, Elvis remains largely unknown. Some parts have been released in box sets after they were cleared by Sony and RCA. Where does that leave the rest? Where do we put the unused reels? According to Riley, no one has entered the two rooms on the second floor that were formerly Elvis's bedroom and office since his death. Everything is exactly as he left it. Despite her hints that there may be unresolved personal matters, she has not explicitly stated that there are tapes inside. The consensus among archivists is that many types of documents, including books, emails, and audio recordings, still lack complete digitalization. The study included an unlabeled reel-to-reel player and a stack of tapes, according to an anonymous former employee. It aligns with what we know about Elvis, but it hasn't been officially confirmed. While holler to a Norbert, at all times he was filming himself. He did it for himself, not for anybody else. In order to test out theories, hear him out, and gain insight into matters prior to their public disclosure. Understanding where all how to carries across. Former Elvis collaborator Felton Jarvis famously stated, "Elvis made a lot more music than RCA ever put out. Late-night sessions, piano demos, voice notes, and other things that no one outside the room ever heard.